Hey guys, Rob Skiba here. By now, some of you may have noticed that I changed the settings on one of my YouTube videos to private. I may actually end up deleting it altogether, which is kind of a bummer because that particular video has done very well, actually, on YouTube. Before I set it to private, I had 39,690 views on it, and I was pretty happy about that. But um, I took it down because I kind of shot myself in the foot. I talked about the moment NASA shot themselves in the foot, and while I'm still no fan of NASA, and I still think a lot of what they're putting out is fraudulent, and I still question the video of the moon going in front of the Earth, which was what I'm about to show you, why I'm putting this video up. I still really question NASA. However, I'm putting this video out to debunk myself. That's right, you heard it here. I am not above admitting that I was wrong. And I have said, hey, I'm just testing this stuff. In fact, you'll see in the clip I'm going to play how I said, hey, go out and do the test. Well, I did. And to my surprise, I found a little bit different results than what I was expecting to find. So this video is Rob Skiba debunking Rob Skiba, admitting I was wrong. And I'm going to show you just some clips from the video that I pulled down, the part in question. This is from the video NASA shoots itself in the foot, exposing the Apollo program as a fraud, which was actually a segment from a longer video, which was Rob Skiba's Back in the Saddle Again, exposes NASA and Flat Earth testimonies. And I'm not going to pull that one down, but I will put a note. I'll have a pop-up come up during that part to reference this video here, because there's a lot of other things on that video that I definitely want to leave up. So I'm not going to take that one down. But this is the part that I'm debunking myself on.
The moment that NASA shot themselves in the foot, boom, was just recently when they put out that video showing the Earth from about 1.5 million miles away, allegedly, satellite over 1 million miles away, looking towards the Earth, and the moon goes in front of the Earth. If you haven't seen that, look it up. That one right there is the video that NASA's basically saying, you know what, we're throwing in the towel ourselves. We're full of crap and we know it, and we're just going to tell you, yep, we're full of crap. See if you can figure it out. But this is what really got me. The camera is about 1 million miles away, looking toward the Earth, and the moon comes between the camera and the Earth, and it's about 25% or so the size of the Earth. Okay, pause that picture, pause that image, stare at it. The same way I asked you guys to stare at the word circle and the word ball on Google. If you can find this video when the moon gets right in between the camera and the Earth, pause it, stare at it, and see what you can figure out is wrong with it. Because I'll tell you, the first thing that popped out to me was, if that's the way the real scale is, from 1 million miles away on the other side of the moon, looking toward the Earth, then if you're standing on the moon and you're going to take a picture of the Earth will be covering the entire sky. You'll be looking at blue water and entire continents. You will not be able to see black anywhere in the sky. Everywhere you look, you'll be seeing the Earth, which basically means every single picture you have ever seen allegedly taken on the moon of the Earth is total crap. They just exposed themselves with this most recent high-tech camera, high-tech satellite, 21st century technology, just exposed the entire Apollo space program as completely and utterly bogus.
Now, I still think this picture is fraudulent, and I still think that they are proving it to us with every blue marble that they put out. I mean, if you just look at this thing, it kind of looks like a clown face, doesn't it? It's like a dude missing an eye or one eye closed, got a big old nose right there and a sad face on there. Sheila pointed out, she goes, it looks like a clown. I'm like, I didn't see it at first, but now that's all I see every time I look at this. But at this point, I'm feeling like the clown. Okay, because I referenced a website that was sort of an apologetic for this particular video, and in this editorial, they showed an experiment that initially I was against, and the way they have it set up, I'm still against. But I'll show you what I did, which actually turned everything around for me on this issue. This is TheVerge.com, says that moon and Earth GIF is totally real, debunking Twitter's conspiracy theories. All right, so this is a fairly recent article. It came out August 12th, and they go on. You can read the rest of the article if you want, but this is what really got me. Is in the bottom here, it's talking about shouldn't, somebody wrote here, this guy Carlos wrote, shouldn't Earth look way smaller since the distance between them is huge and the camera is closer to the moon? Sure, Discovery is closer to the moon than it is to Earth, but not by much. The moon is 238,900 miles away from Earth, but Discovery is a whopping 1 million miles away. The satellite is nearly 800,000 miles away from the moon when it passes in front of the planet. From that distance, it's almost like the Earth and the moon are right next to each other when Epic zooms in with its giant telephoto lens. Here are some photos that illustrate this. Okay, so they got a beach ball here and a miniature basketball and the camera set up. Okay, and they're saying, see, when the camera goes way back here and looks towards the moon, see, everything looks exactly right, just the way it is in the animated GIF of the moon going in front of the Earth. Excuse me. For this to be accurate, for this to be a real, true apologetic explanation, you would have to make the distance between these two. You'd have to have 30 beach ball distances between the last, or 29 beach ball distances between the last beach ball and the basketball. In other words, there should be 30 beach balls away for this to work, for this to be accurate. You should have the Earth as the final beach ball of 30 beach balls away from the basketball. Okay? This is a totally bogus attempt to debunk something. All right? And if you don't believe me, go outside and get yourself a beach ball and get yourself, I don't know, a ball that's, like this, comparable in size to you get this basic scale. Go look up the distance of between the Earth and the moon, and you'll see that it's 30 Earths, 30 Earth diameters away. Okay, so somebody's lying here. If this is the most high-tech imagery that we have right now, 21st century technology, then, and if this imagery is true, then everything that we saw from Apollo is fraudulent. And every single moon landing is fraudulent. And the billions and billions and billions of dollars that went into that, we need to demand back. Let's start paying off the national debt. Okay? Right? You need to pay us back. Anyway, I could go on and on about NASA. Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit passionate there. And look, I still am. I still think that they've defrauded the American public and have lied to the world about a fair amount of things, and I still do not trust the Apollo program at all. However, the portion that I just showed you there where they had the beach ball and the little basketball, they didn't have the scale, the distance right, as I pointed out. That is true. And I showed you that little animation that I made of 30 Earths, away, the moon being 30 Earths away, and how it should look from the Earth and how the Earth should look from the moon. That is true in a 3D software, at least as I rendered it, as I showed it to you. However, some interesting things happen with camera lenses when you actually do the test out yourself. And here's the test that I just did earlier today. Okay, I've got a little experiment going on here. This is my camera set up in the hallway of my office, and I went out and got a couple of balls to represent the Earth and the moon. We're told the moon is about 1/4 the size of the Earth, so I've got a baseball right here representing the moon, And this baseball happens to be about 1/4 the size of that ball over there, representing the Earth. So this ball just so happens to have a 12-inch diameter, and my foot just so happens to be, my shoe happens to be about 12 inches long. So the math works out really well. So let's do 30 Earths here. Here's one. 30. So we've got the moon here about 30 Earth diameters away. And this represents 250,000 miles, thereabouts. Okay, so let's do another 30 steps out to get to 500,000 miles away. 1, 2, 3. 30. Satellite Rob is now 500,000 miles away. Let's double that and go out to 1,000,000 miles away. Here we go. 1. 30. Satellite Rob is now 750,000 miles away. 1. 28, 29, and 30 puts us just outside my office right here. What do you know? And so I've got the camera just a little bit beyond that for a fudge factor. Now, Satellite Rob is over 1,000,000 miles away. And what do you know? We've come up with pretty much the same exact results that NASA had. Okay, so my moon is a little bit smaller than their moon. However, you get the general idea here. You can see the distance. I went ahead and marked it off. I did pace it out to pretty close to the equivalent distance, 30 Earth balls away from the moon baseball, and paced it out to roughly what would be the equivalent of 1,000,000 miles away. I'm rounding down. I mean, I get it that the moon's really about 238,000 miles away, 240,000 miles, somewhere like that. So my distance would be a little bit further, but for the purposes of this test, I think it's still going to be pretty accurate. There's not going to be. I mean, the difference between what I did and what the reality would be is negligible. I was just pacing out a rough equivalent to 1,000,000 miles away, based on the scale that I was working with. And you see that my image looks pretty much exactly the same as theirs. But this is where the problem comes in. Check this out. If you get up close, everything changes. So when you're kind of coming up over the moon, the Earth does look small. Very interesting. Look at that. If you're on the ball, looking toward the Earth, it does look smaller. Yep, and it looks pretty darn close to what the Japanese satellite showed, as well as what the pictures from allegedly from the Apollo space program showed. So, it's kind of back to the drawing board, I guess. But I'm admitting here to the public that I was wrong. I did test myself, as I told you guys to go out and test. I went and did the tests, and these are the results. So, at least in terms of the scale, that part of the argument has to get thrown out. The issues of the shadows and the issues, actually even that issue may have to be thrown out as well, because when you're looking at the kind of scale that I was playing around with here, if the sun wasn't exactly center on the Earth and the moon, you wouldn't have a shadow. I mean, the sun wouldn't have to be off by too many degrees for the shadow to completely miss the Earth of the moon. I still have issues with the clouds, though, and I still, frankly, I think it's a model anyway, and there's a lot of other things wrong with it, and other people are pointing things out. But the purpose of this video, I just wanted to basically debunk myself and my own argument regarding the scale and the part what I was talking about. Look, if you're on the moon and looking towards the Earth, you would never see any black because the Earth would be filling the whole sky. Well, that simply is not true, and so I'm putting this video out to replace that one, the one that I did before. So there you go, and I'm continuing on this quest for truth, and I would encourage you guys to do the same.